It was your cousin's idea.
What?
And that's just for San Francisco. Welcome the king, Michael Lee.
Thank you, Don. You know, when I started out in professional speaking in 1985, I wanted to be a great motivational speaker, like Zig Ziglar or Tony Robbins. But every time I went out for one of those engagements, Zig or Tony had already beaten me to it. And I was discouraged. And as I would turn to walk away, the planner would always say the same thing. Do you speak on diversity? And of course, I would turn to her and I would say, no, I don't speak on diversity. I'm a fifth-generation Chinese American. My great-great-grandfather came to the United States in 1855. So I'm as American as anybody. In fact, I'm so American, I don't even speak Chinese. Thanks to the California public school system, I speak Spanish. So it's a challenge. When people meet me for the first time, they don't know what to say. When they meet an African American, usually they'll talk about sports, as if every African American is good at sports, which obviously isn't true. When they meet a Hispanic, they'll talk about food. When they meet me, what are they going to talk about? Quantum physics? And discomfort with other cultures isn't limited to just Americans. When I was in high school and I began dating, my mother sat me down to have the talk. No, not the one about the birds and the bees. She sat me down, she said, Michael, don't you ever bring a Japanese girl into this house. And I said to her, Mom, what are you talking about? They look just like us. She said, oh, no, they don't. And during World War II, the Japanese were very cruel to the Chinese. Don't you ever bring a Japanese girl into this house. Now, I fought her for years on that. Not because I'm some great social activist, but because there were way more Japanese girls in my high school than Chinese. And I was afraid if she cut the Japanese girls out of my dating pool, my odds weren't too good. But if I were dating a good Chinese girl and things were going along well, she would invite me home to meet her father. Now, what would you guess is the very first question a Chinese father asks a young man who's dating his daughter? Very first question out of his mouth, what would you guess? What are my intentions? I'm a teenage boy. No, no, no. He knows what my intentions are. That's what the shotgun is for. No, the very first question a Chinese father asks a young man who's dating his daughter is, what dialect do you speak? Dialect? I had forgotten that in China there are dozens of village dialects. And he wanted to know, could he communicate with me in his most comfortable language, his village dialect? Well, folks, you know what dialect I speak. Spanish! And if I told him that, would I have been able to date his daughter? So I did what any red-blooded teenage American boy in my position would do. Yes, I lied. Something in the back of my mind said, Michael, think of the most obscure dialect you've ever heard of. He probably won't know it. And I just blurted it out. I said, I speak Fukinese. And usually he'd just say, Fukinese. We speak Mandarin, Cantonese, 3 dialects, but Fukinese. To which I'd simply reply, it's okay, we'll get by on English. Except every once in a while, I'd run into a Chinese father who actually spoke Fukinese, and I was caught in a lie. Folks, when it comes to diversity, you don't want to lie. So how did I get into this business? Well, back in 1985, they kept saying, could you speak on diversity? Could you speak on diversity? Finally, I said, okay. If you want something on diversity, what would it be? And I'll never forget, the California Association of Realtors said to me, look, this is 1985. We have all of these Chinese people coming here from Hong Kong. Because in a few years, mainland China will take over Hong Kong because they're going to lose their lease. And the people in Hong Kong are afraid that when the communists take over, all of their homes and land and businesses will become worthless. So they're selling everything at bargain basement prices and they're bringing it here. Could you just do something about helping us to understand those people? Because they're driving our realtors crazy. They have all these weird beliefs, like something called feng shui. And they negotiate absolutely everything. Could you just help us? And I thought about it for a minute, and I said, I could do this program. I had been a realtor. My parents had taught me a little bit about feng shui. And as a former university professor, I figured I could research the rest. And I did, and I put together a class cleverly titled, Selling Real Estate to Asians. But in spite of the title that sucked, people loved it. And I took it all over the state of California. And then one day a gentleman said to me, well, this is a great class about how to sell real estate to Asians, but we also have Hispanics here. Could you come back and do a class for us about Hispanics? Now, why he thought I could do a class about Hispanics, but I talked to a lot of Hispanic agents and their clients. I put together the class, and people loved it. And then somebody said, what about African Americans? I said, wait a minute. Let me just put together a class about how to sell real estate to multicultural customers. I did, and they loved it. And then a woman came up to me, and she said, you know, my husband owns an Acura dealership. And they have exactly the same problems with their multicultural new car customers as we do with our real estate clients. Could you come speak to Acura? I did a lot of research. I did the class and they loved it. And since then, I have spoken to insurance agents, mortgage bankers, you name it, and that's been my career for 25 years. What I learned from all of this is that if you will listen to your customer, they will tell you what they want. The problem is we think we know, but they know better. And so, being part of two cultures can be very challenging. I mean, take religion, for example. What are you going to do? You've got dozens of Eastern religions and even more Western religions. I mean, what do you do? Just last week, I came across the perfect solution. I'm going to become a Zen Baptist. So, If you meet somebody whose culture or age or gender is different from your own, I hope you'll ask them about their difference. Because what you'll discover is once you get past differences on the outside, you'll see how similar we all are on the inside. Thank you so much. Thank you.